Welcome back to the Coach CARDOSO Show. Today on the Coach CARDOSO Show, I have veteran, motivational speaker, actor, and author of the book War Your Way to Success, Redrick Palmer. Thank you, Redrick, for being on the show.
Coach, I'm going to call you Coach. Coach, thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to dive right into it because one of the things that you were going through as a kid, when you talk about the cold shower at the 5 a.m. club.
Oh, man.
So I'm talking about this guy has blessed with the morning routine from the beginning. So now you could talk about that and talk about your upbringing.
All right.
You know?
So that's what you meant about the cold showers.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Man, so growing up in Jamaica, we grew up financially challenged. Single mother raising 5 kids. So ain't no hot water. So when you're getting up like around, 5 in the morning to get up and go to school, it's that cold water hitting you in the morning. So that's what it was for a majority of my childhood, from from birth to probably 13 years old when I came to New York at 13. So it was 5 a.m.
Yeah.
I even thought to think about it like that. 5 a.m.
5 a.m.
cold.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, so I guess that's why today, if I need, I can get up and I can do that, no issue.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
At the time, you probably was just like, this is the worst. Yeah.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
So you got 5 siblings? You're the youngest of 5, correct?
I'm the youngest of 5. I have an older brother and 3 sisters.
Okay.
And I'm the last.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, the thing about your book is awesome. I don't want to dig too much into the book because it's like people got to buy it, right? If you talk all about,
right?
But I love it. I mean, a lot of things you talk about, your upbringing in Jamaica and your father being kind of in and out your life. If you could, talk more about that.
So my father was here, and while my mother and my siblings, we were in Jamaica. So when he would come visit once. I can remember probably a handful of times when he came to visit because he lived in the States. He came to visit us in Jamaica. And then when we came here, we lived with him for about a year. And then we moved. My mother moved us out and we started living with her. And, we just been back like he always is, rocking with her ever since.
Yeah. You was talking about the studio apartment, in the book. I feel like I know you. It's like
Oh, you gotta ways into it. Okay,
yeah,
all right.
Oh, definitely. I got into it.
We lived in a man, is it a studio? I may have said the wrong. I think it's a studio apartment.
Yeah, studio apartment. Yeah, you just walk in and
everything is
studio
so that's the right
correct.
term.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. We lived there for a little bit. It was she was doing the best she can. So
yeah, of course.
That's what it was for a little bit of high school and stuff like that. So
So you talked a lot about relationship with your father. It was sort of he didn't know how to act with you and vice versa. I get more into that because I had a father in the household, but he was an angry man. So it's almost like he was in a way absentee. I'm not mad at him. He went through a lot in life.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to always let people know the truth, what happens, because we all think it only happens to us in a way, right?
Man, I appreciate him, honestly. And I think the biggest opportunity he gave me and the rest of my siblings was giving us the opportunity to come to this country and, do what we, take off from there however we choose. So I'm not sure what his upbringing was. We didn't have much conversation. Some parents, it's like, I do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But they don't tell you what they've been through or anything of that sort. So, and it's just not having that knowledge from him and just taking, as I got older, just taking the things I did learn from him. I'm like, okay, I don't blame you for nothing. I'm looking at and appreciating the opportunity that you gave me and the rest of my siblings to come here and make something of ourselves. So I don't feel no type of way about it.
That's good.
I appreciate him for that.
That's awesome. So you came to the U.S.
Yeah.
You lived with your father for about a year.
About a year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your parents
Yeah.
moved out. I mean, I remember your Chinese food, your favorite dish.
My favorite Chinese
Yeah,
food. Half
yeah.
a chicken with white rice, barbecue sauce all over.
Yeah.
That was my
That was your
favorite
go-to.
chicken. Yeah.
Your go-to plate.
My
Okay.
go-to.
Yeah,
It was so
yeah.
cheap back then
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. So you went to live with your mother
Yes.
and your four siblings. So total of 6 people in the studio apartment.
No, so my older brother was already doing his own thing.
Okay. Okay.
He was gone. Before we left Jamaica, he was already over here, but it was just me and my sisters and my mother.
Yeah.
So just 4 of us.
Yeah. What went through, like, I guess looking back, because at the time, it's it's probably like no good. I'm dealing with all 4 or 5 of us. But was it something that like helped you like step and move to the next level? Kind of looking back,
It's from where I came from.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
kind of like how they say life happens for you, not to you.
Yeah.
So
No, it definitely gives me a man. So it made me really just take my mother. Like I was at that age, I'm just taking everything in. I'm seeing her working hard and pushing to give us a better life. So we went from that studio apartment to a 2-bedroom. 2-bedroom with a living room. Like she went to school, got her master's degree, got certain certifications so she could work with special needs children, and got another job before she was just at a daycare because she was a teacher back home in Jamaica. Yeah. And then from Jamaica, she came over here. She had to get some recertifications. So throughout that tumultuous time of just trying to figure everything out, she was going back to school and everything and putting it all together. So she couldn't really pay me any mind because she was trying to get it so she could help.
Yeah.
So we went from the studio apartment to the 2-bedroom, and we grew up in a house in Jamaica. So her mindset was she wanted to put her kids back in the house, so we could all be together again. So she went from there and then saved up her money. And then when I was in college in 2008, she bought her first house, within, I think, 7 years of being in this country.
It's amazing.
Starting over from scratch.
Amazing.
So me just taking that in, it's like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
I see the method. I see the method. Just stay down and just grind and just do what you have to do. And I learned that from her.
Yeah. So it's a great example for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She was a soldier.
Yeah. That's what's up. I mean, it's so interesting how people come to the U.S. who do not have the opportunity. Like my parents came, I think we probably landed at 77 or something.
Yeah.
And they had a house by like 82.
Right. It's like a different type of grind they have.
So they're grinding and live recession proof. So I love to hear those stories because
recession proof indeed.
Yeah, we don't have to get into that. But so you went here a little bit about story. You went to when did you decide to really let me go to the military? Because I know you.
I decided that
and,
I finished my bachelor's in 2013, and right before that year, not my last year in college, I was really just looking around me and saying, okay, what's around here that I can do instead of just jumping in the same thing. Like I saw my friends. I was already in college. I was working, going to school at the same time. I did that all throughout college, and so it was like, all right, something. Yeah. I need to do something different. Something ain't right. I'm going down the same path, and I can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm like, okay, I need to get away for a little bit. And I chose I'm like, okay, what's the best place to do that? And I was always against the military growing up. But a friend of mine's, he spoke about going to the Air Force. I'm like, nah, don't do that. But after a while, once I felt like the walls were closing in. I'm like, okay, what's the best thing I can do here? And it just came to my mind, said, okay, go to the military, go to the Air Force for a little bit and go overseas. And then, funny enough, I had my next door neighbor from Jamaica. It was a good friend of mine's. Yeah, I found him. He was in the Army. It was right next door neighbors. Yeah. He said, I'm in the Army. I said, oh, really? I'm like, maybe this is even more confirmation. You know what? Me go join the Air Force. So I told him, hey, I'm joining the Air Force. And he was like, I'm stationed in Germany. So I said, that's where I'm coming.
Yeah.
I didn't know it didn't work like that.
Yeah, I remember the wish list you talked about.
Yeah, it's a wish list.
Yeah.
So I didn't know it didn't work like, oh, you could just say you're going to, wherever you want to go. But, lucky enough, I got the assignment I wanted, which was in Germany. And I think within a year of being there, I met him out at like a club.
Yeah.
And he tapped me. I'm like, yo, who's this big guy tapping me? It was him. And it was just like crazy how we just met up. But yeah, that was the biggest thing for joining the military was to just get away so I could have some time to think. Because when you're bogged down here, you're working and you got to go to school and everything. I needed to get away from that so I'd be able to give myself time to come back and really figure something out. I
remember that for the book, your mother wasn't big on you going to the military.
Nah, she didn't.
Which I can't blame. Yeah.
In her head, I'm going there to die. That's what she's thinking.
Yeah.
But I one of the biggest things is, right, if you're not already secure in something you're doing, don't tell anybody else.
Yeah, I learned that.
Take your time, apply it, because then you don't want any negative energy to come in and then completely sway you, because you already got the fear or whatever you have in you, and now you just go tell somebody else, and they're like, nah, don't do that, and they put their negative feelings on you. Now you just completely put it to the side and never get it done. So since I already knew that was the case and that would probably come in my direction, I didn't tell anybody in my family. I made the decision, and I had to sit with that decision for a couple of months because I was in delayed entry program before going in the military. So I was in the delayed entry program for about 9 months.
Okay.
So I had to sit with that decision and come to terms with it. And once I came to terms with it, I was only a few months out. I said, Mom, I'm going. I think I had 2 weeks before I was shipped out, 2 or 3 weeks. I said, Mom, I'm about to head out. I'm leaving to the military. She like, nah, you're joking. What? You gonna throw your way of life with? Nah. She didn't believe me. But I showed her the paperwork, like, nah, this is serious. She was like, you gonna die and this, that, the third, da. You threw away your life. I brought you to this country for all of that. But I already made my mind up. So nothing anyone could have told me, could have swayed me from my decision, because I already sat with it for so long. Already had the negatives and looked at the good. I'm like, okay, what's the worst that could happen? I could die. Okay, what's the best case scenario? I could go to Germany and have all these experiences. And I just decided, like, all right, I'm gonna take a leap of faith on me.
Yeah, I love that. I wanted to go to military too, but it's because I didn't want to go to school anymore. So I was trying to hook. So I was trying to go to military. So they're like, nah, if you're not 17, we can't accept you. Know what I mean? So to be honest with you,
no, I have a couple of friends in the military that's like, why you join the military? Their response like, I ain't want to go to school no more.
Yeah, so I kind but I stuck in there, and I did. I hooked school. My funny thing is that I hooked school to go to work because my parents wasn't like poor, but they didn't have the money to give me sneakers and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I was already trying to grind at 15. And leave it. So there was at McDonald's, and they were just like, dude, you can't come in here at 11 o'clock in the morning. You're going to get us in problems. You know what I mean? But,
you was out there hustling.
Yeah, so I was out there hustling, So sounded like the military was a great thing for you. What do you
it's a bitter yet sweet. You know what I mean? I was a weapons loader, so I was loading bombs and missiles and ammunitions on a fighter jet, F-16. And when you're working, you might do 12, 14-hour shifts. If you're on a deployment, and when you're on a deployment, you're doing, I think we was on 2 weeks. First 2 weeks, no days off. And there were some long shifts. Yeah. But it's rain, sleet, or snow. You out there working. You don't complain. You complain, but you still knock it out. For me.
I know those 4 years changed you because you talked about, I don't know if I'm bouncing around, about the picture. If you're if you're the frame, you can't see the picture.
Can't see the picture when you're in the frame.
Yeah.
It's I feel like I can sit and look at one of my friends' life and point out certain things, and they won't be able to see it because they in it. They in the mess, right? Yeah. So it wasn't until I got out of certain situations that I was in, and then went back and looked at it from a bird's eye view. I'm like, oh man, how did I miss that? And it really happened when it really, really happened when I wrote my book. Yeah. Like I was taking everything in from the past to now. It's like, oh,
yeah,
bird's eye view. Okay, I see how that could, be perceived in certain ways in certain situations I came across. Like, oh, I get it now. Yeah. I'm no longer in it, and I can go back and look at it. And it's like, oh, that's it. Yeah. And that's why I'm able to say I appreciate my father for these days. Because if I'm only thinking about, well, you know what, he kicked us out when we was younger. Like, yeah, you can look at that, but look about why you don't look at the other things too.
Yeah, there's a lot that comes with it. It's just kind of like the age the person was, the mindset, the pain that gets passed down through generations. We never have a chance. I mean, I know I'm in a better place, so I could analyze these things. So I could kind of like, okay, my father did this because he went through a lot. My mother did this. My mother got with my father when she's 17 or whatever. Yeah. So she did the best she could. Right. Once we understand that. Yeah. She's a warrior too. Like your mother. She worked. And she
you gotta look. You gotta look at that.
Yeah. Like, so my father too. He worked day in, day out, about the house, about cars, and so on. So you can't just look at his anger. Because, and move.
And a lot of times, I don't think people realize that your parents are actually learning the same time you are. They're growing. But you, they're still learning.
Yeah, that's definitely the thing. That's why a lot of time I want to talk more about these things, because people just want to see, okay, this person's positive, his motivation is this, but the work, like you, I was reading your book, I was like, wow, I can't wait to have this guy on the show. I mean, the whole week, because I'm just like, he's getting deep. He's talking about frames. He's talking about victim mentality, and he's talking about everything up my alley. Yeah, it seems like you're doing it at a faster pace. I think, younger guy, so I love that. So military might have shaped you and so on, right? But how was your integration? Let me say, I can say that word, into society, because you're kind of like, I heard you talk a lot about this. You're kind of like, okay, I'm in the military. This is all working out. Now I come out.
Yeah, that reintegration process for a lot of it. Let me just say, so for a lot of veterans that come out of the military, it's very hard for them to adjust. It is very hard for a majority of them to adjust. And that can lead to that with a lot of the issues that they have in there, like emotional suppression, can lead to homelessness. And with the mental, what's the word I'm looking for? The mental disorders that they might have from certain experiences they have from the military due to having emotional suppression, that could lead to homelessness, and that leads to homelessness, and many veterans coming out right with mental health issues. So, and statistics is also showing that roughly within the United States alone, there are 42,000 homeless veterans living on the street. Wow. A number that surpasses that of civilians that are on the street, right? And that is one of the reasons. That is one of the reasons why it's like I strongly am a big advocate for veterans getting assistance with those conditions in more non-traditional ways, right? Yeah. One of my biggest things is, okay, I see acting as a tool for therapy, because you can go, and as various studies have shown that acting can be used as a tool for reintegration and to help deal with trauma. So doing that to just help veterans in different ways to come out so they could be even more successful individuals in society, like, it has helped me. Yeah. But reintegration from the military was a process. I'm still learning. Okay. I'm still learning. Yeah. But the day-to-day of just getting up and keep going, one of the biggest things in the military, you got it. You get up and you go to work, and working on yourself and putting yourself back is a part of the process when you're a civilian again. Yeah. So you might not be able to find your spot. Oh, I can't find it out here. You create it. Yeah. So I'm creating this guy. Yeah. I'm creating my own my space and putting that together. Yeah. And the veteran community is, so we're always sharing information with each other. So all you got to do is just put yourself in the right environments, and it'll help you definitely. Yeah. So they talk about where they say, like, you never know who you are unless you leave the area where you grew up, because people just have you pegged this or you are so on. So do you think the military really helped you? Yeah, that's why I told you I had to get away. Yeah. I had to get away because I needed to really take time from the day to day. Yeah. I saw myself fall in that trap of, I love my mother for what she did, but I believe each generation is supposed to get better, right?
Yes.
So I'm like, Ma, see what you did. So how do I take it to the next step? She won't be able to understand it because she's big on the tradition, but I was doing it, and I'm like, okay, well, this ain't it.
Yeah.
All right, so how do I get there? I'm gonna need to reprogram my mind. For unconsciously, that's what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went away to the military, living in a different country, I lived in Germany for 2.5 years. I did that, then I went to Poland, and then we've been to Greece. So that took me into different countries where I'm seeing totally different cultures.
Yeah.
I'm seeing homelessness in other countries. I'm seeing people thriving, but it definitely opens up my mind even more. So now being deployed, I was deployed for 6 months. Now you start to look at life completely differently, right? So now coming back home, it's like, all right, I got that part of my mind is completely opened up now. Okay, what other learning do I need to do? Yeah. But you got to go I had to go a little deeper, right? Because now I got to figure out how to, okay, I don't feel like I fit in society anymore. So who is this person? Yeah. All right, so now it's, okay, how do I, man, I'm a little depressed. All right, let's figure this out. All right, let me go listen to I started doing some searching, going to some seminars, and somebody told me about, listening to motivational speakers. And I'm like, okay, maybe this is what I'm looking for. Started listening to Les Brown, and I started hearing, him telling me. Mm-hmm. He was telling me because I'm listening to the YouTube, so he talking to me directly. Yeah. So he's telling us, the listeners, that, hey, you can create the person you want to be. And sometimes one of the best ways to do that is by believing in somebody else's belief in you until your belief kicks in. So when I met other veterans and they told me, man, I can see you doing certain things and being an actor and certain, and I'm like, really? I'm like, okay. Mm-hmm. Or, a good friend of mine was like, Rick, you can do that. I'm like, man, I don't know, but I'm going to run with what you believe in me. And I enrolled in acting school, and, there's a little bit more to the story, but I started doing that, and then it worked even more in my favor. Then I got my first acting job, and then played in a play with some really, really, really phenomenal actors doing Shakespeare. Found out I have an affinity for that. And then from there, I went and played Jackie Robinson, and from there I did another play, and a few of them won some awards, and I won an award for being Best Actor twice, one in London and then another one in Walla Walla in Washington. So the biggest thing is, it's like listening to those motivational speakers, like, okay, Les Brown saying, okay, he started his own TV show, he wrote a book. He was like, then why? In his speech is like, so can you. Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, you know what? I like that belief.
Yeah, having somebody, it's awesome. It starts changing your circle a lot too.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you don't have it around, you might live in the poorest of the poor in the ghetto, and you don't have those people around you. You have YouTube. Mm-hmm. Go find that person who you can relate to and start listening to them over and over and over and over, because you need to change this. And once you start changing this, it's a daily. Yeah. I want to say it took me 6-7 years to get here. Mm-hmm. Throughout this 6-7 years, I've listened to motivational speakers almost every day.
Yeah. Same.
Every day.
I eat, sleep.
Yeah. Because you got to change this. You got to rewire this. And it takes for you to unlearn all the stuff you learned as a kid, it takes about 5 to 6 years to reprogram your mind. Yeah. One of the best things I heard was how long it takes to grow a Chinese bamboo tree. Mm-hmm. A Chinese bamboo tree, before it even breaks the ground, it's the 5th year before it even breaks the ground. So you have to water that area, fertilize it, and you got to keep doing that every day. So then your neighbor might be looking at you like, hey, bro, what you doing over there? You say you growing a Chinese bamboo tree. Like, ain't nothing growing, brother. You sure you're not losing your mind? But after that, once it hit the 5th year, and it finally sprouts, in 5 weeks, it grows 90 feet. So a lot of people might be like, oh, well, man, you might seem like I've been doing this work for about 6-7 years straight. And then there's days I get up and you're going to still have those days where you still feel down. You do a little something, just win the day. Yeah. Win the day. You might be listening to something positive, getting a workout in. Next day, you're going to feel even better. You're going to get even more done. Yeah.
Stacking wins.
That's it.
That's where you got to go,
That's really it, man.
So you kind of hit it right there. I mean, the programming. Sometimes people go, That's how I am. Nah. So if you know me 10 years ago, you know me now, it's different. So it's not who you are. It's your conditioning.
Yeah.
So you can condition yourself to something else if you want to.
If you want to. Yeah. And that's the difference between having a fixed mindset and a growth mindset.
Yes.
So if you have a fixed mindset, as you said, that's just who I am.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm going to change that. Yeah. What work I need to do.
Yeah.
How long going to take? Matter of fact, don't even tell me. I'll just keep doing it every day. Yeah. Repetition deepens the impression.
That's exactly, yeah. Once, there's things that I do, the getting up, like I have a routine to put me in place, the getting up, the cold shower, talk about that, the breath work, the meditation, when I do the gym, I do some 20, 30 minutes reading afterwards, things I do to keep me. Do I want to do every day? Absolutely not. I didn't want to do it today.
Yeah.
I was telling my sister, I didn't want to do an interview at 7 o'clock at night. Right. But that's how life works. I'm very happy to have you on the show.
No, I get it. I get it. So, it's just human nature.
Yeah. So that's kind of why I want to tell people, like, how come you're so motivated to work out? I said, are you crazy?
Come on, it ain't motivation.
I said, I'm not.
It's discipline.
Discipline. And then when it does kick in, the motivation is great because you're floating for like a couple months.
Right. But it's a cycle. And you got to just get back on it. You might fall off the horse, but just get back on it. You know what I mean? And then you start again. It's like, oh, man, but it's a part of the process. And then the compounding wins.
Yeah. Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. He talks a lot about that. Awesome. Yeah.
I ain't even know, but thank you.
Yeah. So what you're doing is the right thing. That's what we're doing, What's any like routine that's like almost a must for you, like morning? I'm good with the morning routines, but the evening routine's not as good. You know what I mean?
For me, I would say one of the biggest things, no matter what, I'm never not going to make my bed. Mm-hmm. I know it sounds like,
no, it doesn't. Yeah, okay.
And somebody might win. What is he talking about? That's the first task I accomplished through the day. Yeah, and then I might go work out, maybe 6 or 7 days a week. Or if I'm really, really busy and things start to ramp up, I might knock it down to 3. But I'm really watching what I'm eating. Yeah. Really watching what I'm eating. I'm like, I'm gonna go for a walk or go for a jog if it's not hitting the gym. But for me, man, it's really 100% every day. If it's one solid thing, get up in the morning, thank God for seeing another day. Yeah, making my bed, do my hygiene stuff in the morning. If it's the gym, hit the gym, and then my routine can change, right? Because if I have some pressing work that I need to get done, I'm gonna knock that out. And then just just take the other stuff as they come in throughout the day. Yeah. But it may vary. It's not the same every day, but for the most part, I'm definitely hitting the workout. I'm definitely making my bed the first thing in the morning. I'm definitely giving thanks for another day, and reading. That's one of the things I definitely do. If it's a good book, I'm reading that, get some knowledge, and then I might read some other stuff as well.
You talked about you took your sister's books, like novels, right? And then you just started reading. You got hooked. You was hooked.
My sisters used to when I. This is when I was like about seven or I think 6 or 7. They used to read these romance novels, and I'm looking at them like, why y'all keep reading these books? And they just devouring these books. And I'm like, y'all crazy. And then one day something told me to just take one up and just start reading. I could not put that book down.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And now I realize why they're up till 12, 2, 3 in the morning. My mother used to be like, turn off the light, y'all, while y'all up reading. I'm like, they crazy. What they doing reading 2, 3 in the morning? Then when I read that book, I'm locked in the bathroom reading these books on the toilet with the light on. And now I'm like, now I get why y'all up reading these romance novels. It's hooking. So
do you still read them now? Or
no, I don't read those. I'm more into financial books and self-help books.
Yeah, I know you talked about that. Yeah, that's same here. Thing. I try to get into those things, but it just doesn't do anything for me. No. So there's a couple of things that you talk about in the book that seem like it. Let's say it takes you to the next level. For example, your mother passing away. Yeah. And then you spoke about getting sick. Yeah. Right afterwards. So how do those two things impact your life? Because I know growth is ongoing. Yeah. So those traumatic experiences can reshape you.
Yeah. So It was so loss of my mother is I think with anybody, especially if it's the relationship they have with the individuals, it's gonna do two things, right? You're gonna either let it break you, or you're gonna use it as a tool to push you, lasso you even further. And when I say use it as a tool, I say use it as a tool in this way. I want to make it so that, how do I allow my mother to live on forever? One of the ways of doing that is creating the person that I know she can be proud of, but not even only she could be proud of, but to be somewhat of the way she was with her students as she was a teacher. What I mean by that is she made such a big impact on her children in school. Some of them actually went on to become teachers themselves from Jamaica, and then call her and said, hey, I became a teacher because of how you impacted my life. So it's like, all right, learning that, and with her passing, it's like, okay, I want to do that too, but I also want your teachings that you have taught me to be also passed on to others so they can have it. So learning it, so as opposed to just having her move on in that sense, I said, okay, I'll make sure I dedicate this book to you and pass on the teachings you gave me and allow you to live on forever as well as myself in that way. So, I look at it like that.
I think you did a great job honoring your mother with this book.
Appreciate that.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
Okay, so you're dealing with that, but then so you're dealing with the loss. So I know grieving is forever. Oh, yeah. I personally think in my family, we grieve too much. That's my own little, but I know grieving's forever and it hits everybody differently.
Yeah. No, my mother, she was like, listen, when she even in the situation that she was going through, she told us, hey, when I need y'all to move on and live your lives. Yeah. And I'm looking at it like, man, that's how you say that? Like, in her situation, she think about us. Mm-hmm. But what I realized is a lot of individuals, when they lose someone that they really care about, they will allow it to cripple them to the point where they no longer become successful individuals in society, or they're no longer performing. And I think she's seen that happen. So when she made sure before she checked out, she said, hey, I need you guys to move on and live your lives. Looking out for us to get up and just keep going. So that was one of her messages that she left. So, just honoring that wish.
Nice. Yeah. How long after that did you end up in the ICU?
She passed in March. I think around, it was around Thanksgiving. Because I remember I waited to go to the hospital. Yeah. I waited to go to the hospital. I had internal bleeding in my stomach. Mm-hmm. And my hemoglobin was down to like, the blood in my blood level was, my average blood is like a 16.5. It was down to a 6.5 or 7. I'm having palpitations, but I was holding out like, nah, maybe I just need to drink some tea. I'm like, I just need some tea and I'll be all right. Yeah. But no, when I finally went to the hospital, because I was feeling a little dizzy and stuff like that, and I was having palpitations, and some just kept telling me in my mind, go to the hospital. And it was actually a fact when I was going up steps, I'd have to sit down and catch my breath. I'm like, man, I'm really out of shape. What's going on here? Yeah. I'm working out. I'm like, something must be wrong. I wasn't thinking. I'm like, maybe I'm just a little, But when I went to the ER and they drew my blood, the doctor came back and said, Mr. Palmer, why'd you wait so long? I said, I laughed and said, it's too late. And they rushed me to the ICU and started giving me bags of blood. And first two didn't take. Oh. And I remember one of the doctors coming in was like, hey, if we can't find where the bleeding's coming from. And then he just stopped. He ain't even say no more. I'm like, I get it.
Okay. Wow, that must have been something like to just.
Oh, man, that joint was real. Yeah. It was real, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to fight.
Yeah, They say you can have a million problems once your health hits.
Don't care about nothing. Yeah, I ain't even listen. I can't. I'm like, man. Well, no, that's lie. I was trying to figure out who I was gonna give my money to. I was like, I'm gonna give this money to.
Something that is interesting in your book. Also, this is to move on to another topic, right? Mm. You talked about breath work in acting.
Yeah.
I don't know because I know now I talk more about breath work. I don't know if you well, in interview when I did the first podcast interview, we interviewed Angelo and Natalie, and they're big into CrossFit, and they opened up a company with Deep End, Boston. It's like working out in the water. So they talk about a lot of breath work and stuff, during class and stuff. But how does that? So breath work is big now, I guess.
Yeah.
So how does that help with acting or
Well, it first came about. I was in a first time I was introduced to the breath work was through a program called Decruit. So Decruit is a program where it's funny, you're coming out of the military, you're militarized. This is where I get the term from. You're militarized, but you're not demilitarized. I learned that from the Decruit program I was in from the director. And he was teaching us Shakespeare. And he mentioned how Shakespeare wrote in the iambic pentameter, which is similar to that of box breathing. So he was using that, the way Shakespeare wrote, the box breathing method he used as a form as a therapy for veterans to help them help them go through the trauma and certain things they've experienced. And studies have shown that, box breathing is really good for, anxiety and stuff like that. But when it comes to acting and stuff like, acting and various other things, you could just use that to really just calm you down and get you in the right mental space to, dive into the work.
Believe it or not, that's the first time I ever heard about that at all. So, I mean, I was just like, oh man, I use breathing a lot. I mean, I use it.
It's essential.
I do Wim Hof breathing techniques in the morning, and I'm trying to learn how to do, but when I do 100 burpees, they're like, just breathe and do this. And I'm like, they use it well. They really, but I'm just like, I'm like, you know what I mean? I feel great, but I just try to get that breathing pattern going, much,
No, it's very important. Yeah, it's very important. Okay. Very important. Breath work.
Let me ask you, what would you say? I love everything you're doing. I mean, your book breaks it down, you're so on. What would you say the next step is for you? What is something because we talk about the comfort zone. Yeah. We want to push ourselves out.
Absolutely.
That's kind of one of the reasons why I'm here today. This is pushing myself out of my comfort zone. A lot of things I do now. So what's the next step? Because I know you're going to take the next step to push yourself out your comfort zone. What's something, singing maybe? I don't know.
No, it ain't. You ain't singing? Well, maybe. Let's see. Maybe they hit me on Broadway with something like, hey, we want you. I want to, so there's a few things I definitely want to do. I want to, with a good director friend of mine named Alex Berg, I plan on, in the future, hopefully sooner than later, putting together a production with him, our own film. A little bit, get into some more business. I don't want to share too much now, gotcha. But definitely get some more business in a business going on in a certain sector. But I can share the acting piece with you. I definitely would.
Cool. And another thing I realized you talk about in your book, you kind of word it differently, but like we have underlying narratives how we should live our lives. Yeah. Or you're too old for this, you're too young for this, and so on. So you talked a little about that, about doing things like people expect, and you're worried about what people think about you. Yeah. So.
Man, listen. When you leave here and you dead and gone, all that stuff don't matter. Yeah. When somebody tell you something, at the end of the day, you got to get up, you got to pay your bills and do what you got to do for yourself. So if you sitting down worried about what somebody think, and they ain't doing nothing for you. Even if they're doing something for you, at the end of the day, you can take care of you. So then, and I take care of me, so then we can take care of each other. Take care of yourself. Forget about what the other person thinks. Have respect and reverence, and people should have that respect for you. But at the end of the day, I think, man, you came in this world by yourself. At the end of the day, you're gonna leave by yourself. If you want to make a difference and you want to leave a lasting impact on the lives of others, you gotta live your truth and live your life the way you see fit. Yeah. Step outside your comfort zone and just be unapologetically you, because that's what stands out. Yeah. That is. I mean, you talked about some things about your gut feeling and so on. I should go to the military. I need to step out. Yeah. Once I started to do that, my life started to open up. Because I used to be like, what do you think? And they'll be like, oh, you can't do that. Okay. Right. And I just... or you listen to somebody else like, what do you... What? No.
Yeah.
You cannot do that. You can. It's good to seek advice, right? But you can't seek advice from people that ain't doing nothing you got going on.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you think about this? Oh, no, I don't think you should do that. Have you ever done it?
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
they're gonna say right.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
But you haven't. You taking their advice?
Yeah.
Like, no, you have to.
I mean, I try not to be rude about it now.
Yeah.
But sometimes people will tell me, I'm like, I'm not asking you. You know, just because. First of all, when we try to do these things outside our comfort zone, we have that voice talking in our head. You're gonna fail, or whatever, right?
We already got it right.
Yeah, we don't need somebody else.
Right,
voice.
right.
I don't. You know what I mean?
So, right. Yeah. We already battling it up here. So you're gonna go outside. You got double trouble.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, exactly. Because you know, if I can master this, if I can master myself, it's game over. You know, and that's the hardest battle.
That's the biggest battle.
You know, and that's all. You know,
that's the biggest battle. There's some days I wake up in my mind like, man, go back to sleep. What you doing?
Yeah.
It's early. I'm like, you know, I done heard Eric Thomas say this.
Yeah.
You know what? You're right.
Yeah.
Sometimes, might win a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I go lay down for a little bit. I like to trick myself. I put on something motivational and lay down a little bit. Like, all right, I'm listening to this. I'm starting my day.
Yeah.
But it's like you got to really play tricks on your mind so you to get through it. Yeah.
I love that because, you know, the motivational speakers you talk about, you know, the John C. Maxwell's, you know, you got Les Brown. You got to be hungry. Well,
you got to be hungry, right? You got to be.
I probably messed it up for him, like the way I just said it. He probably, you know. Yeah. So I listen to all that. I mean, I started, you know, probably 13 years ago. I started to get into self-development growth, and little by little. First, I read a book by John C. Maxwell. I'm like, this crap don't work. I'm not self-developed. I didn't realize that it's a growth journey.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
And it ain't until it's, as I said, 5-6 years.
Yeah. It's not to kick in. Yeah. Yeah. Would you say you're at a, let's say, at a spot where you're happy being uncomfortable? Because, I mean, I seen your clips on the movie you're doing. I mean, the History Channel. Yeah. And I'm like, this guy's got an awesome, the book, and, you know, he's got, he's speaking. So he's doing some great things.
Yeah, but, you know, it's, on the outside, on the outside looking in, people see it. Mm-hmm. But for me, it's like, okay, and I'm appreciative for everything that I've received so far. But it's like, all right, well, keep going. What's next? Yeah. You know, yesterday news is yesterday news. Yeah. Keep working. Yeah.
Something I always ask somebody on the show, right? Mm. What's growth mean to you?
That's a good question. I've been asked.
Oh, I know. That's why I asked you.
Growth means being able to slow down, take my time, and really analyze things from all perspective before acting. What I say is, when I was younger, I was more impulsive as opposed to slowing down and looking at situations and seeing what's the best direction to go in. Growth for me now is, hold on, slow down, Rick. Think about this. Is this working in your favor? Is this going to do something good for you? Or are you just acting basically on impulse? Mm. And then using all the knowledge I've gained and also calling on those individuals who has done the things that I want to do to get their viewpoint on it, and not just relying on, okay, I think this is a good idea. Going with the facts, and also, just seeking guidance from a higher power to do the things I want. So growth is personal development and just really doing that introspection on a day-to-day with myself and moving forward before I do certain things.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Have you found as your growth journey that your friends and circle around you just changed dramatically, or? Yeah,
you're gonna lose some people.
Okay. So you found that. Okay.
And it ain't you gonna miss the people you lose too.
Yeah.
But to get to that version of yourself that you want, you're gonna have to do what you gotta do.
Awesome, brother.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love having you on the show.
No, thank you for having me.
I'm definitely gonna invite you back again.
Listen, I appreciate it, Coach.
All right. Thank you, brother. Yeah. So, thank you for joining in to the Coach Cardoso Show, where we grow as a community. Come grow with us.
Here we go. Come grow with us.